Hi all, it's PJ and welcome to the very first of my video tutorials. So this is for the Baby Lock Serger Club at Montavilla, and the project this month is a Layflat shoe bag, which you're seeing right here. So this is the smallest size. It's got a nice sturdy zipper in it and it opens up. There's gussets on the sides. Okay. So you should have all received your instructions via email, and you can follow along. I'm just going to kind of cover the high points and the areas that I think may need the most instruction. So number one is the contrast strip. So here I've got my contrast strip, and I've just folded it hot dog wise, wrong sides together, and pressed it in half. Okay. Then on to step number two, the zipper. So on your zipper, there's a side that has a bump and then the side that's flat. The side with the bump is the right side of the zipper. So I've put just a little piece of Collins Wonder Tape up here at the top. I'm gonna take this off, take the protective paper off, and then I'm just going to stick it to the two raw edges of my contrast strip right here. This will help hold things together when we go to stitch. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move over to the machine and I am going to show you setup here. So you're set up for a standard 4-thread overlock. You're going to be on N in your differential, A on your stitch selector setting. Your width is at the widest width. Your knife is unlocked, and you can have your stitch length setting anywhere between 3 and 4. So the first thing that you're going to want to do to attach the zipper to the contrast strip is you're going to want to release the threads off of the stitch finger. So I'm going to zoom in here and let me adjust this a little bit. So I'm hoping that you can see right down here how the stitches are on the stitch finger. So I am going to raise the needles to the highest position, and while gently holding the tail, I'm going to wiggle the flywheel, and you should see the stitches come off of the stitch finger. So now can you see that they're released? So what that's going to allow me to do is when I put my zipper and my contrast strip in, I can start a little bit in from the end and I won't have to worry about anything getting caught or caved in. You don't have to have your presser foot off for that. It's just easier for you to see. So I'm going to put my presser foot back on, and I'm using just a standard presser foot for this project. And I'm going to now put my zipper in. I'm going to zoom back out so that you can actually kind of see what's going on here. So I'm just going to slide this in from the side, and I am positioning this so that my needles are about 3/8 of an inch in from the start. This will, by starting not at the very end, it will make sure that you can actually start smoothly. So I'm just going to hold my zipper and the right edge of my zipper and my contrast strip, the two raw edges together, and I'm just going to stitch down this. And I'm basically just trying to hug the knife without trimming. And I'm just kind of going slow. And I'm just holding that into place. When you get to the end, you can just stitch straight off the end. And then you're going to repeat exactly the same thing for the other one. This is how the end looks. This is the starting end. Okay, so we're on step 3 now. So we're going to add our zipper band with the contrast to our main bag piece. So this is the wrong, here's the right side, this is the wrong side. So we're going to add the wrong side of the zipper to the wrong side of the main bag. So you're just going to line up your edge. And your contrast fabric in your zipper should be 1 inch longer, so you should have an extra 1/2 inch at each end. So you're just going to stick that up just a little bit. And again, I'm going to kind of move this in from the side, lift up your toe if you need to, and basically you want to position this so that you're starting at the end of your fabric. And just start slowly And you want to lock your knife this time so that you're not trimming your stitches from before. And just make sure that you start slowly. And I kind of hold this in to make sure that everything starts feeding at the same rate. And again, you're basically using the knife as a guide, but this is also a good time to remind you that you've got marks on your foot, both here and up here. So here and here, your left and right needles. So you can use those because you basically want to follow in the same stitching path that you did the first time. So you're just gonna sew all the way down here. And I'm just going slow and I'm just holding that all in place. And you're gonna just go all the way off the end. And then you're gonna repeat the same thing for the other side. Okay, so we've got our zippers both stitched on, and then step 4 is you're gonna press your strips. So just follow the written directions. In this case, I'm obviously at home, so I just did the option 2, which was stitching down. If you don't want to stitch those down, you can fuse them down with steam a seam. But you can see that it nicely conceals the zipper. Okay, so then step number 5 is here. You're just going to mark the halfway point on the top and on the bottom of your main panel. So that takes us to number 6. So adding the zipper pull. So I've got my zipper pull here. Oops. So I'm going to zoom in and let's see if I can kind of get this really close up. So the little mantra here is angle, angle, push. So what that means is you are going to put one end in at an angle here. So your zipper teeth into the zipper pull. So angle. And then the other side, you're going to angle that side in. And the goal here is to get those ends at the same length. And then you're going to bring the zippers parallel and then push down and push toward you. So you can see here, I didn't quite get those lined up. It'll take a couple tries. And just push down and toward you. There we go. So you're going to put the zipper all the way on. And then you're going to take it all the way off. So that the entire thing is zipped from start to finish. Now, you're going to just separate the top of this and put the pull back on again. But what that will do is move the pull to the center. But both of your ends will be zipped. So angle, angle, push. And if you don't get it quite right, just do it again. And I'm pushing down and pulling toward me. There we go. So you're going to want your zipper basically at the middle. And then you can unzip it just a little bit so it'll be easier to get into later. Okay. Okay, step number 7, the ribbon tab. So at the end here, both ends actually, I've got a little piece of Collins Wonder Tape, which is just double stick tape. So I put the long tab at the end that has the rounded part of the zipper pull, because to me, that's the direction it's going to close when it's up. So I put my longer tab there. So I just position this here and stick it to the Wonder Tape. And then I'll repeat the same thing down at this end. Okay, then I'm just going to carefully turn this inside out. You could wait to put your tabs on after you turn it if you want. I think it's easier to put them on that way. So then I've got my marks that I did from, I think it was step 5. And I'm just going to line up that center mark with the center of my ribbon tab and my zipper. And I'm going to put a little clip in it. You can clip each side if you want to make sure that your ribbon tabs don't get lost. Whoops. All right, so now we're going to do the gusset, which is step number 8. So I find it really handy to do this on a cutting table. Depending on the size bag you're making, on the written instructions, it will have how much you're going to fold up the gusset. So the amount that you fold, your gusset depth is going to be twice that amount. So in this instance, this is just a made-up size bag. So I'm going to do this 2 inches. So I'm basically just, here's 1, 2, and I just hold my finger there and then just fold this up. And then put a clip. So you're basically going to repeat that for each of the 4 corners. So this is what you should have when you've got all of your gussets folded in. Okay, we're going to go back to the machine and we're going to close up the ends, which is step number 9, and I'm going to show you how to do the clean start and clean stop. Okay, so we're on the last step. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to raise your needles on your machine to the highest position. And then with your foot up, you're going to once again grab your tails and wiggle your flywheel to release the stitches off the stitch finger. And then you're going to bring that tail around to the front. Okay. So this is what I call a clean start. And your knife can be on for this. And you're just going to move the project up to the needles with the tail in the front. And I'm using the knife as a guide. So I'm just going to put that down and I'm going to stitch slowly. And I'm basically catching the tail so that I don't have to worry about feeding it in on anything later. All right. So you're just going to stitch across here. Once you go a few inches, you can just move the tail off to the side and trim it off. Now take care when you're going across your zipper. You may have to carefully hand crank if you happen to get stuck right at a tooth. Just be careful. Go slowly. When you get to the other end, we're going to do what I call a clean stop. So you're going to take just a couple of stitches off the end and stop with your needles at the tallest position. Raise your presser foot. Gently pull back, and you can wiggle the flywheel a little bit to give you a little bit of slack. And then you're basically going to turn this over, and you're going to come back and stitch the opposite direction. You're going to want to lock your knife on this one. And you've got some slack in there, so you can do 2 things. You can just move this up a little ways to take up the slack, which is usually what I do. You can also, let me move up here. You can also just gently pull to take up the slack there. Either way will work. Okay, and then just put your foot down, and we're just going to sew back a couple of inches. And then stop again with the needle at the highest position. Raise up your presser foot. I like to just tug on my upper threads just a little bit. That will give you just a little bit of slack, and then you can put your foot back down and you can then just stitch off. And then you can just trim close. Okay, we're going to do the same for the other side, and then we'll turn it. Okay, so this is basically the very end. I've got both of my sides sewn. You're just going to put your finger in and open up your zipper. Turn it right sides out. You can basically just pull your gusset and it'll open those guys out. Ta-da! You've got your shoe bag. Great job. See you next month.